Good morning, grade 9. So today's lesson will be social studies, and we'll be looking at page 132 to 135. And our lesson today is based on South American cultures. As you've known, we've looked at the European Revolution, but today we'll be looking at some South American cultures and the impact that they had on America at the time. So I'd like you to get your pens ready or highlighters so we can highlight important information. South American cultures. The term pre-Columbian refers to the different American civilizations that flourished before Christopher Columbus. Now, as you know, Christopher Columbus was the one that founded America. He is the one that founded America. So I want you to underline this, please, this important information. The term pre-Columbian refers to the different American civilizations that flourished before Christopher Columbus. Now, flourished there in that context means that came up, that sprung, or that succeeded. Okay? So that is what the term pre-Columbian refers to. The continents of Asia and America were connected by natural land-bearing bridge that helped in the movement of the early hunters and spread out the trade between the two continents. So we must understand here that the continents of Asia and America, they were connected by a natural bridge, okay, that helped in the movement of trade between the two continents. Farming played an important role in the development of the American civilization. Underline, farming played an important role. That's important. Ponds and canals were constructed to preserve the water flow. Abundant harvests led to population growth, and trade routes grew up in the mountain regions. Towns started to appear by around 2000 BC. Okay? Over the centuries, both coastal and mountain regions started becoming more connected, and trade played a major role in unifying cultural areas. So here we see in our previous lessons during the beginning of the year, we also discussed trade and what it was. So we see that trade played a major role in unifying cultural areas. In the first millennium, more trade networks were developed and agriculture was advanced further. Around 200 BC to 600 BC, another culture arose, the Nazca culture in southern Peru. The culture is noted for its pottery, textiles, and the geoglyphs made on the desert floor, commonly known as Nazca lines. Politically, the Nazca civilization was described as a collection of chiefdoms acting in unison for mutual interest. The Nazca came to an end after it was weakened by a generation-long drought and was conquered by the Wari, a civilization that flourished in the south-central Andes. So here you might want to just bracket this paragraph. We might need it in our exercise a bit later. And that gives us a bit of an idea of what happened in those cultures, what they were all about, okay, and what the civilization, how it was described and how it was formed in its hierarchy. Right, we will move on to the next page, grade 9s. So if we go to the next page, we're going to quickly read some of the information here. Around 300 AD, another civilization arose near the Pacific coast, the Mochi, or the Moshi. It took its name from the great site of Mochi in the river valley. Mochi was the capital of a powerful state. During this period, urban houses, storehouses, workshop buildings, plazas, and two massive adobe brick pyramids like mounds displayed typical traits of Mochi architecture. It was known that the Mochi presented perhaps the most accomplished artists and metalworkers of the Andean civilization. The Mochi had no written language. Due to a combination of climatic factors, the Mochi civilization came to an end in the 8th century. A new power arose and created a more spectacular empire, the Inca. The Incan culture appeared in the 12th century after death. Many tales discuss the establishment of this culture. During the 1400s, the Inca community fell under the power of a ruler named named Pachuchi, or we can say Pachusuti. This, with his great power of ruling, he was able to get the entire region under his control, thus Incan control. As a great leader, he has shaped the state into a much more advanced structure. So for this paragraph as well, it's related to your activity, so just to note that as well. The state of Inca was named the land of war. We could underline that possibly. It had an estimation of 12,000 to 15,000 warriors, making it one of the most outstanding groups of all the states. That's important information. It had an estimation of 12,000 to 15,000 warriors, making it one of the most outstanding groups of all the states. In fact, every warrior was given a reward despite the position of their commands. Warriors were trained very intensively, so they were trained very well, allowing them to be properly ready for war. So this was something that was special about the Inca civilization, is that, or the Inca warriors, they had 12 to 15,000, and they were all trained, okay? And it made them one of the most unique. This is what made them special or unique, okay? Unsurprisingly, many areas fell under the control of Inca. So many areas were under their control because they had such a great, an amount of warriors. And as a result, high leaders who fought against the Inca warriors lost their ranks. On the other hand, others promised to stay faithful to the new civilization. To ensure loyalty, the Inca took hostage of the children of the local leaders in the invaded areas and instructed them in Inca before releasing them and sending them back home. During this time, the state was divided to 4 quarters that were also split into provinces. In most cases, governors who ruled these provinces were related to the royal family. Okay, so here on this page, we learn a bit about the Inca civilization and what it was all about, and also what made them unique and special from the other civilizations. Let's move on to the next page, grade 9. And, okay, so each province had a population of 10,000 people. Marriage played an important role, where individuals could choose the bride to be or groom from their tribe members. It was mandatory for women to be housewives and weave clothing for men to work and protect families. So it was compulsory for women to be housewives and to make clothing for the men. Agriculture in Inca was one of the finest. So agriculture is farming, remember? It was one of the best, they're saying, in the Inca civilization. It was of very high altitude, okay? It was very high up in the land. Farmers could manage without money or marketplaces since all their basic needs were met quite simply. That's important. That's what also made made them so unique, okay? Or made their finances so special, made them so special because they had everything they needed, okay? They used terrace farms and extensive trade works and extensive networks. They were also known as great builders. Now, this is what made them so successful in their farming, agriculture, and trading. The terraced farms were watered by irrigation systems which carried precise water into the fields. These were implanted with high altitude crops. Trading was very highly established in the Inca economy. It mostly had to do with food products and pottery. Again, this paragraph tells us why the Inca civilization thrived so much in their trading. Merchants did not lead the trade work. Instead, government officials were responsible for organizing it. Inca people built roads and their territory stretched across the Andes mountaintops and down to the shoreline, incorporating lands from today's Colombia, Chile, Bolivia, Ecuador, Argentina, and Peru, all connected by a vast highway system whose complexity rivaled any in the Old World. These roads provided many advantages, such as securing easy routes to the empire's civilians. So this also again tells us what made the Inca civilization so special when it came to agricultural, trade, and crops, etc. Today, Machu Picchu's ruins are what drives many people in from all over the world for sightseeing. Okay, so he was one of the leaders. It is surrounded by mountains with a long stairway that leads to the post of the sun, which was used for solar observatory. Inca people did not develop any writing methods. Records were also put for trading and the amount of men that went to war. Even though Inca people had no writing education, they still aimed for high cultural achievements. And here's a bit of a think about it question. We will now move on to the activity and refer back to where we could possibly find the answers. So now we will move on to page 135. What does the term pre-Columbian refer to? And I said on the very first page that we needed to underline this. The pre-Columbian refers to the different American civilizations that flourished before Christopher Columbus. Question 2. When did the Moche civilization develop and what made it special? So now we move on. And we now need to go and look for what was the Moche civilization all about and what made it special. So now we need to look for that information. So here, amongst these paragraphs here, we will find what the Moche civilization was about, or when did it develop and what made it special. And if we look over here, grade 9s, we will see, sorry, it's on the second page. There we go. So here I'd like you to scan and scheme for the information relating to that question in this paragraph. Yeah, it will be in here somewhere. Right. The next question asks us, explain the uniqueness of the Inca civilization. What was special about the Inca civilization? And here on this page as well, we could find that information in these paragraphs here. What made it so special? What made the Inca civilization unique? What was unique about it? Remember, we mentioned also the amount of warriors that they had, okay, and etc. Go and find out that information there. And who is Pachacuti? Okay, who is Pachacuti? And that information we will find as well on this page and in these paragraphs here. Last question, discuss the elements that made the Inca economy flourish. Now the economy here refers to what made them so successful in their trade. If we look on this page here, also we will find agriculture in Inca was of the finest, and here it gives us the reason why they were so successful. So, grade 9s, that is what you will do for this lesson. Thank you very, very much.